Woodstock business owners turning to security after break-ins and vandalism. This is a community in Portland. It's a community that is, they're like, okay, what do we do? What can we do? And in the wedding store owner that I covered this morning, where they got robbed, somebody was making the comment, well, she should just hire security. If you've got like $100,000 worth of revenue a year, and that's what it kind of sounded, whether that was profit or gross revenue, I don't know if it's gross revenue. I don't know how she's covering rent, but most small businesses do not have the budget for security to fight the craziness that's going on in these cities right now. Businesses are fed up with crime and vandalism in Woodstock and taking matters into their own hands. They say they're considering hiring private security and are in the process of talking to a company. The vandalism, drug use, and violence in the area has been terrifying for a lot of people, said Cristy Landers, the local business owner. Landers has had Transformation Salon in Woodstock for 22 years. You read so many stories of these people who've had these businesses for years and years and years and years. And so many of you say, well, just move. All right. That's not a bad plan. But if you've got a business that's been, the roots of it are set and it has grown in that location, and so much of your business depends on that. You can't necessarily pick it up and move. It's not a store based on internet traffic. It's based on foot traffic or people driving to it from their community. And when you cut off those business relationships, you basically cut that store off at the knees. So, it's one thing to say, well, just hire security. You may not have the budget to do that. So what do? You basically crowdsource your security, right? There's been a lot of changes, a lot of houseless people who have moved into the neighborhood. They've been the scariest part for our kids, said Landers. She's spearheading the effort to get private security for the neighborhood. I was reading a story, getting prepared for this podcast, and a woman who had just moved up from California, she had a spare mattress. So she moved up from Cali into Portland. She had a spare mattress. You might have seen this story. Well, she had somebody from a homeless encampment come, grab the mattress to take to their, to their encampment because she was trying to help people out. And she had a set of keys to her brand new car, hanging on the door handle. That's just, the exterior door handle of her garage. Next morning, her brother was like, hey, I think he said, hey, sis, your car's gone. Well, they'd gotten into her garage. They knew where the keys were and they'd stolen her car from her garage, from her driveway or garage. She was under the impression these are people that they just need a little bit of help. Well, they do. And it's in treatment. So treatment is housing. So when I see folks that I think, this person needs help, but it's not the buck that they're asking me for, right? Because fentanyl's cheap now. You can get a hit of whatever for really cheap. It's come way down in price. It doesn't take much. We used to talk about getting a bottle of Thunderbird wine, the vitamin fortified wine. So they wouldn't die, because of lack of vitamins. They'd die from alcoholism. And that's what it used to be back in the day, right? Can I get a quarter? I got to get something to eat. And you're like, no, you're an alcoholic. You need treatment till you get that. You can't make people decide it for themselves. There is something to that whole free will thing. People got to decide. But if they're breaking the law, then you got to put them in jail, no matter what. And that's where we have fallen short. Because so many of these stories, homeless person with 75 arrests and 22 convictions, still running around, just running around. There's no accountability. And no wonder we've just got this kind of stuff going. On rinse, repeat. Just keep going. All right. It'll work itself out. Well, it's not. And that's why we're talking about it here. A community group that has gotten to the point where they're like, all right, well, I guess we got to defend ourselves. And you might say, and one of the comments that the woman made who gave the bed mattress, because she thought she was trying to do a good deed, is the police need to do more about trying to find my car. You're like, hey, you just moved to Portland. Are you new here? Oh, you are. All right. So we'll give you a break. Yeah. Stolen cars. You got 11,000 stolen cars a year in Portland. 11,000. The police are a little busy, covering their priority calls. and there's not enough of them. So, and they're scalping cops from one division to another based on what the hot topic is of the moment. And they're paying those folks overtime to cover whatever it is the hot topic. All right, we need an emphasis patrol over here. The bottom line is you just don't have enough cops. And you've got criminal activity that is really ramped up. And you don't have enough bandwidth, let alone the bandwidth to cover stolen cars. So that's just not happening. So this woman is spearheading the effort to get private security for the neighborhood. Landers told KOIN 6 that their hope is to have guards patrol the neighborhood in the evening, shared between businesses. She said she got the idea after someone broke into her salon in October, and in that same month, a client told Landers she was attacked while walking down the street. Now, this community here has never been, let's call it, the safest, and I'm being kind. It hasn't been a rough neighborhood, but it's always been a little bit sketchy. And I have that on word from folks who would know down in Portland. So I'm basing it on that. People who have literally walked those streets, maybe with a badge. Who knows? It's unknown, right? Everything's anonymous here. So you've got somebody who's like, all right, we're hiring our own guard service. And, a lot of the businesses in downtown Seattle, they have gone to just that. All right, let's post up 3 or 4 or 5 armed security guards. Let's have them have guns. And we'll see if we can stop the outflow of the 5-finger discount from our stores. But then you've got a situation where you're looking like a third world country with armed guards walking around. But you know what? That's probably what needs to happen. It's just that I would probably rather not shop in an environment where some confrontation between an armed guard and some other crazy nut job whacked out on fentanyl comes in and just, got a gun, got a sword, got a bayonet, whatever their thing is. And I'd probably rather not, spend my money in those environments. And I think a lot of you are in the same exact boat. You're like, hell no, I wouldn't live in the city. Yeah, right? But this woman, she's got a vested interest. She's got a business, and she's like, all right, we're just going to get some guards down here. We're going to get some guards up in this biatch. Landers hopes that guards could prevent more vandalism. All right. But, again, you're not going after the root causes, are you? Vandalism. Oh, vandalism and graffiti drives me crazy. It's just such a bad look. If you go up and down Woodstock, you'll see the broken glass. It's very disturbing, said Landers. Yeah, that is one of those things. It's that broken window theory, isn't it? That Giuliani came up with it, or didn't come up with, but he addressed. And he's like, all right, we need to fix all this crap. We need to clean this up. And he did. And now he just always seems to be on the wrong end of whatever he's doing. In Woodstock, there are broken and boarded up windows along the street. Employees told KOIN 6 that they were broken by people on drugs or having a psychotic break. That psychotic break. People are, they're unhinged, right? And yet we just let them walk around. How many podcasts have I done? I did one last week where you got a guy. I think I did it on Sunday. It'll be coming out. It hasn't been released yet, but it will be. A woman knew a man broke into her house, and the man broke into her house. This is in Seattle, in the Madrona neighborhood, which is a decent neighborhood just east of downtown Seattle. Broke into her home, and they couldn't find him. They're going throughout the house. They couldn't find him. He was in the bathtub. He was taking a bath with all his clothes on. And the statement was, he seems to be okay, but he's very wet. He was taking a bath with all of his clothes on. Okay, so you broke into a house and you took a bath with all of your clothes on. Okay. It's mental. The guy's mental. That's literally what residents of these areas are experiencing. And yet they are probably the same people who voted for policies, which we've ended up with this, perfect, sales funnel of why wouldn't these people come here? Sonia Miller with the Woodstock Neighborhood Association said she and her neighbors also see criminal activity on the streets. It was trash. It was just out of control, said Miller. We have campers and drug dealing in distance of preschools. That's not uncommon. I mean, we just had an opioid clinic open up yesterday here in Linwood. I talked about that a little bit. And it's basically right next to a boys and girls club. A little bit of, people have to deal with their dependency somewhere. There's time and place for those types of, centers, just maybe not next to the boys and girls club. I'm just saying, concerned parents. Yeah. Because wherever you've got those clinics, where you've got the methadone clinic, whatever, you've also got the drug dealers lurking nearby because they know they've got a built-in market and to tempt these folks. Not good. She said, as soon as one more camp is cleared, another pops up. She wants to see the city handle the problem in a more streamlined way, but also think the issue runs deeper. It ultimately is about having housing. It's a balance between compassion and frustration because of bad actors like the drug dealers, Miller said. All right, so let's just take a super quick look at that statement because we've got a bunch of elements in there. It's ultimately about having housing. Okay. No, disagree, 100% disagree, unless treatment is housing is considered. All right, I'm down with that. Compassion and frustration, yes. Compassion and frustration. But that's when we identify that, we've basically admitted, we did have compassion, but now we're just frustrated. Now, compassion got you to the point where you voted in the folks and the policies that you've got. So you just got to kind of deal with that. You're going to have to work your way out. And unfortunately, working your way out is going to be a whole lot harder than working your way in. Decriminalizing everything, making everything, it's okay. One of the stories I was watching yesterday was how many young people there are getting involved in this lifestyle where they're getting arrested. And part of the deal is if it's not illegal for them to have drugs, if there's no, criminal retribution towards them, if they can't get arrested and thrown in juvie for small possession of cocaine or whatever, and their parents don't have any control, maybe the parents are having a tough time themselves, you've just got this entire generation of kids growing up without any rules, without any guidelines, doing whatever the F they want. And because they're juveniles, they get preyed upon by, the older kids. And you've just got this cycle going on. So, why wouldn't this happen is kind of the question. And so what are you going to do? Well, you're going to have to repeal some of those possession laws. Yeah, well, I'm not really sure about that. It's going to be hard. But that's, some of what we're talking about here in Washington State. We have laws where cops basically can't chase after anybody for anything. We're starting to talk about that already. It's like, that one law we did where it basically just handcuffs the police ability to do their job. Maybe we need to take a look at that. We need to rethink and reimagine that. Got stuff like that going on, but it's going to be a long time. And that's if it ever gets put into place, right? Big if. But in the meantime, expect much more of these shenanigans. There's no ETA on when the business owners would actually get that security. The third thing that I missed out on, sorry, I'm jumping back to this one sentence. So we got the housing, we got the balance between compassion and frustration, and we got bad actors like the drug dealers. Okay, the drug dealers are only supplying what is already a massive demand there. And that's the folks living in the homeless encampments on drugs. You got a massive built-in demand there. So you can't just blame the drug dealers. They are serving a need in the community. Demand and supply. And there's big demand for it. So the dealers are going to jump in, and in defending their turf, you're going to see some shootings. And that's what you got going on. And then everybody else wants to point out, wow, those are hard things in society to kind of work our way around. Let's just talk about housing. Yeah, we just need more housing. I mean, that's literally what I see happening. It's, planes, trains, and automobiles, where John Candy and Steve Martin, they end up in a hotel room together, don't have a lot of money. Credit card's been denied and everything. And yeah, it's super cold, whatever. And they're in bed together, but it's not like that, right? It's literally two middle-aged dudes in bed. And Steve Martin says, or John Candy says, my hand, where's your hand? Steve Martin says, where's your hand to John Candy? And John Candy says, between two pillows. And Steve Martin said, those aren't pillows. And they get up, they shake it off because, they'd been spooning or whatever accidentally while they're asleep. They get up, shake it off. How about those bears? Just how about those bears? That's what I feel like our communities are doing. How about those bears? Maybe we do t-shirts with that. How about those bears with housing first and a big line through it? Because it's just, let's divert our attention to something else. Look at the mountains over there. Look at the mountains over there. Aren't they pretty? When you've got just this pile of trash in front of you. And you're like, yeah, they are. But, this isn't good. Not good. How about, I think it was Bears. Wasn't it the Bears, Chicago Bears? That was in Chicago, wasn't it? Yeah, I think so. All right. So there's no ETA when the business owners would actually get that security, but they discussed it at a recent meeting. Is there anything more on this bad boy? No, that's it. All right. So much of the same. You've got entire communities that are going to band together and they're going to go, all right, this is what we're doing. You got communities down in San Francisco, Castro district saying, we don't want to pay our taxes because we ain't getting nothing for our taxes. Yeah, we're not getting the security. Shops are getting broken into. Crap all over the streets. We saw what happened with that one poor guy who was just trying to wash off the sidewalk. Got arrested for battery. I got demonetized on that one. Yeah, I'm getting demonetized. I'm getting censored on all the drug stuff. Nobody wants to talk about drugs. So that's going on. There's that. So I am literally having to self-censor because otherwise there's just no point to putting it up. It's just not going to go anywhere. And so all of that content is over on Rumble. So all the stuff that I'm having to self-censor, it's over here on member content. It's on reasonabletv.com. So if you want to, best thing to do to help me out is hit that like button, but share the videos as they come out. If you want to go dive deep, we've got all kinds of content on our private site here. We can view all. We've literally got, I had somebody, you know who you are. You watched 13 episodes this past Saturday. I think it was something like that. But you can binge watch some of this stuff. Well, this is where a lot of this stuff that, isn't going to make it through on mainstream media. This is where all of that is going. And so we're doing $10 a month there because it costs a lot of money for all this crazy stuff. And we've got people, thank you to everybody who's joined because it's starting to gain some traction, and that along with our Discord channel, we're trying to make this a community where people can come. And that's why I'm doing more live streams with you guys, because that's how we can kind of interact. And speaking of that, I'm going to interact right now. I'm going to see what you guys are talking about here. See what we got going on.
Why are you holding my hand? Where's your other hand? Between two pillows. Those aren't pillows. Ah! Ah!